If you thought 86 was good, wait to see what we have in store for you in the 1986-87 season. Welcome to another video at Rewritten Rings. If you like this content, please subscribe. It goes a long way. Today we look at the 1986-87 regular season without Jordan. And you're not going to believe all the changes that were made in 1 year. We start with player retirements. Bob Lanier retired at the age of 37. Nate Archibald also retired at 37. Dan Insel also retired at 37. A lot of 37-year-olds retiring in 1986. And then we have Artis Gilmore at 36 retiring. Both Archibald and Lanier got their numbers retired. And now we head to the lottery, where you're not going to believe what happened. Looks like the Celtics have the Knicks pick. Let's get right into it. At number 7, we have the Washington Bullets. At 6, the Denver Nuggets. At 5, the San Antonio Spurs. At number 4, the Phoenix Suns. At number 3, it's the New York Knicks. I guess that draft pick was protected. At number 2, it's the Atlanta Hawks. That leaves the Seattle Supersonics will get the number 1 pick in 1986. The Celtics end up with the last pick of the draft. They don't get the Knicks pick. It must have been protected. And there is the draft order. And now we move on to the draft. And as you know, in 1986, the number 1 draft pick was Brad Daugherty. Here, it's Len Bias. In real life, Bias was drafted number 2 by the Celtics, which happened to be a Seattle Sonics pick, ironically. At number 3, the Hawks picked Chuck Person. And wouldn't you believe it, the Knicks got Brad Daugherty after losing out on Patrick Ewing last year. At number 4, Ron Harper goes to the Suns. Arvydas Sabonis goes to the Spurs. And unlike real life, the Spurs won't have to wait for him. Kenny Walker goes to the Nuggets. It looks like the Sabonis is getting traded to the Bullets. I wonder who the Spurs are going to pick at 7. And it's Mark Price. Roy Tarpley, who goes to the Mavericks in real life, goes to the Mavericks here too. Dennis Rodman gets picked 9th overall. In real life, he was a 2nd round draft pick. Mark Allari goes to the Pacers. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Looks like Greg Elo is going to get traded for a draft pick. And the Rockets select Del Curry. They trade one shooter for another. William Bedford gets picked by the Warriors. I may skip a few picks now. Drazen Petrovic goes to the Hawks in a trade. Buck Johnson ends up in Portland sooner than in real life. Nuggets get another pick, and it's Jeff Hornacek. The Lakers end up with Nate McMillan. Here are some notable 2nd round draft picks. Kevin Duckworth goes to the Pistons. The Nuggets get Scott Stiles. John Sally goes to the Mavericks. And Johnny Newman goes to the Blazers. Let's see where all the teams are at the All-Star break. Phillies in 1st with the same lineup they had last year. The Pistons are in 2nd because they're leading their division. They too are running the same squad. The Celtics now are in 3rd place. Looks like they traded away the Chief. They now have Daryl Dawkins in the middle. They also have Otis Birdsong. After them, it's the Washington Bullets, who now have Clyde Drexler on the team. Drexler and Stockton, that's a hell of a backcourt. Not to mention they have Sabonis now in the middle. The Bucks are in 5th. Looks like they added Jeff Rulon in the middle. I believe he's a former Bullet. At 6, we have the Pacers. Wow, they got Terry Cummings. He goes from the Clippers to the Pacers and never becomes a Buck in this world. At 7, the Hawks are back in the playoffs, at least for now. Rookie Chuck Person mixed their lineup to help Dominique. And at 8, we have the New York Knicks with Brad Daugherty in the middle, Joe Dumars, and Bernard King. This is a good team. They might make some noise in the playoffs. And as for the 3 teams that are not in the playoffs right now, the Bulls. Looks like Patrick Ewing is injured. Former Celtic Darwin Cook is in their lineup. Without Birdsong in New Jersey, the Nets are now 10th. Former Celtic Danny Ainge couldn't make the lineup in Boston, but he's in the lineup in New Jersey. They also have Kenny Carr from the Blazers. The Cavs are in 11th place right now. They were a playoff team last year. If they had the same team from last year, but not the same results. That's the East. Let's go on to the West. The Mavericks are in first place in the West. They have the same squad that made it to the conference finals last year. Our champion Lakers are in second place. They're running with the same squad. In third place, it's a surprise Denver Nuggets, who haven't made the playoffs yet in our history. They now have Bill Walton along with rookie Kenny Walker in the lineup. Robertson's Kings are currently in fourth. Looks like they have the same squad from last year. The Rockets are in fifth. Rookie Del Curry is a nice addition to the team. I also see Larry Nance there. I'm not sure he was there last year. The Warriors are in sixth with rookie Buck Williams helping them in the lineup. He must have been traded from Portland. Clippers are in seventh with a nasty lineup. Doc Rivers, Cedric Maxwell, Clark Kellogg, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Spurs are holding down the 8th spot. Much change from last year. Will they still be there in April? The Sonics are outside the playoffs looking in, despite the number 1 pick, who I don't see there, but I do see Robert Parrish. Bias, who never played in the NBA, looks like got injured in this simulation. Without Drexler in Portland, the Blazers aren't in the playoffs. And for some reason, our Utah Jazz, who've been so good the last 2 years, are not in the playoffs either. I don't see Daryl Griffin there, but everyone else is. And last, we have the Suns, who look to have a young team with Ron Harper, Delva Shrimp, and AC Green. And that's our midterm standings. Looks like Ewing was indeed injured 4 to 6 weeks. There's much worse news out of Seattle, though, as Bias is out for the year. Before we simulate to the end of the year, let's look at our All-Stars. We got Thomas, Stockton, Malone, Bird, Wilkins, Clyde Drexler in the East, Chris Mullin, Charles Barkley, Terry Cummings as a Pacer, Jeff Rulin, Kevin McHale, and Sidney Moncrief in the East. In the West, we have Magic, Alex English, James Worthy, Mark Aguirre, Karl Malone, Alvin Robertson, Derek Harper, Adrian Dantley, Clark Kellogg, Robert Parrish. I still can't believe he's not a Celtic. Kiki Vanderway and Jay Humphries. The season's over, and guess who's MVP? Yep, it's Magic Johnson again. For a 4th straight year, 2K names Magic Johnson MVP of the league. Did he deserve it? Here are our scoring leaders for the league. Dominique Wilkins once again leads the league in scoring. Both Terry Cummings and Moses Malone had impressive double-double averages. Not to mention Charles Barkley. I believe Magic finished 16th in scoring overall. However, he nearly averaged a triple-double. Do you believe he deserved the MVP or one of these guys in the leaderboard? Drop me a comment below and let me know. There he is, 16th overall. But he did have 12.9 assists and 9.5 rebounds averaged. Rookie of the Year went to Brad Daugherty, despite only having 13.5 points averaged. He did average a double-double though, and was 3rd in scoring amongst rookies. Glenn Bias averaged 21 points but only played 22 games. Jerry Reynolds gets 6th Man of the Year. Alvin Robertson gets Defensive Player of the Year. Terry Cummings gets Most Improved and could have been an MVP runner-up. Wayne Tribeca gets Coach of the Year for the Mavericks, who finished 66-16, best record in the league. As for All-NBA, we have Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley, Dominique Wilkins, and Moses Malone on the first team. Second team, we have Hakeem Olajuwon, Terry Cummings, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, and Alvin Robertson. Larry Bird is nowhere to be found. Robertson also is on the all-defensive team, along with Magic Johnson, Charles Barkley, James Worthy, and LaSalle Thompson. There is Bird on the all-defensive second team, along with Moses Malone, McDaniel, Clyde Drexler, and Chris Mullin. Our rookies are Doherty, Walker, Glenn Bias, Sabonis, and Ron Harper, first team. Second team, we have Person, Harold Presley, Sheldon, Mark Price, and William Bedford. Here are our final standings. The Sixers finished in first in the East thanks to a last game against the Celtics where they won. The Pistons finished in second despite being 7 games worse than the Celtics because they won the Central Division. There are the Celtics 62-20 in third place in the East. The first time they're not in first in our history. The Bulls finished 50-32 and fourth in the East thanks to Drexler and Stockton. Pacers are moving up. They're in fifth, 47-35. The addition of Terry Cummings was huge. The Bucks finished in sixth. Again, there is no Sidney Moncrief in their lineup. He must have got injured. This was their story 2 years ago when they got swept by the Nets in the first round. The Hawks are back in the playoffs, finishing in 7th with a 36-46 record. It looks like the Knicks held on to the 8th spot with Brad Doherty in the middle. They finished with a record of 29-53. And for the Bulls, that injury to Patrick Ewing was the difference. They finished 24-58 out of the playoffs. And without Otis Birdsong, the Nets didn't make the playoffs either. The Cavs finished last in the East. So the 3 teams out looking in stayed that way at the end of the season, at least in the East. Let's look at the West now. As earlier mentioned, the Dallas Mavericks finished with the best record in the league with their mixture of youth and veterans. Lakers finished 60-22 in second, 6 games behind the Mavericks. Can the defending champions repeat? The Rockets are now your 3rd seed. They're going to be dangerous in the playoffs. The Nuggets finished in 4th after not making the playoffs the first 3 seasons with a 47-35 record. And then we have the Kings in 5th, 46-36. They were only 2 games behind 3rd place Rockets. The Clippers finished in 6th with a 41-41 record. The talent deserves a better record than this, I think. I'm wondering what 2K is thinking here. Warriors finished in 7th with a 39-43 record. And the Spurs do hold on to that 8th spot at 37-45. So just like the East, the teams outside looking in at the halfway point stay that way, which are the Blazers, Sonics, Jazz, and Suns. I still can't believe the Jazz, who were in the finals just 2 years ago, didn't make the playoffs this year. And they finished second to last in the West with only 21 wins. Again, the only one missing there is Daryl Griffin. Everyone else who was on the team last year is still there. Just doesn't make any sense. What are you doing, 2K? And then there's the Suns, who finished in dead last in the West. See if the injury report can tell a better story. John Ballinger was out for the Cavs. Makes a little sense. Finished where they did. Moncrief is out for the year. Doesn't look good for the Bucks. Along with Vern Fleming being out for 1 to 2 weeks. Looks like the Warriors are in trouble too, with Jim Paxson and Slippy Floyd both out 1 to 2 weeks. For the Spurs, both Gene Banks and Michael Cage are out 1 to 2 weeks too. The Rockets have Larry Nance, Del Curry, and Bob McAdoo all out. McAdoo is only out day to day. Pistons lost their rookie Kevin Duckworth for the season. Nuggets are without Walton for 1 to 2 weeks. The Knicks star Bernard King is out 2 to 4 weeks. That's going to be trouble. And the Jazz did lose Griffin for the year, although the record still doesn't make sense. That's the end of the video. I leave you now with the 1987 playoff bracket. If you enjoy this content, please subscribe. It goes a long way. And to be notified when my next video drops, which will be the 1987 playoffs, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.